Welcome to Tameside Bossing It. We are now on episode 3, and I am joined in the office today by Joe from Unique Kitchens.
Unique Kitchens and Bedrooms, yeah.
Unique Kitchens and Bedrooms. Welcome, Joe.
Cheers, Lee.
Thank you very much for having the desire to come onto my podcast.
Brilliant idea, isn't it?
I don't know. We'll see. I'm 3 episodes in. I'll let you know.
I'm nervous.
Less so now. I've settled into it a little bit. But yeah, I just thought, you know what, let's try and do something a little bit different. So I was invited to a podcast.
I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, so I went and did a podcast with a guy called Ryan Taylor in Liverpool a couple of months ago. And I don't know, I just sat down and I just liked the idea of it. I liked the idea of talking business with someone. I liked the idea of sharing, best practices and things like that. It was a little bit about property, a little bit about business in general. And I just sort of thought, you know what, I could probably do something like that because I can sit down and talk.
I think that's all
with
it is.
Anybody, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, there's plenty of people out there, like-minded people, where you can put ideas out there and, like I say, just generally chatting. Yeah. Everyone's listening to podcasts, aren't we?
That's what I mean.
Half the world get all their information from podcasts.
So I just sort of thought, do you know what? My business, tried to create this business, this estate agency, which is Tameside focused, all about the community. So I thought, what a better way of doing something than doing a Thompson Estates presents Tameside Bossing It, and then invite people like yourself on to talk about you, talk about your business, talk about your wins, your successes, your struggles, and then other things that may crop up during conversation. Threats to your business if there is any. We had a lengthy phone call conversation last week at 10:30 at night about how AI
wasn't alcohol fueled.
It wasn't alcohol fueled, but about how AI may affect us and stuff. So we'll touch on that as well. But let's start with you.
Yeah.
So Unique Kitchens and Bedrooms. But before we talk about that, take me all the way back to the start of your working career. I know it's a long way back in it, Joe.
Right from the beginning?
Right from the beginning. Why not?
Leaving school?
Yeah, why not?
All right, okay.
Because I want to... So the idea of this is I want to understand the people that I'm going to invite on, right?
Okay.
And if, I've just done Mike's, and Mike's is a really good one to listen to because he talks about from way back when he first started and how someone that he worked for shaped what he does in the future.
Got you.
And it's a win for him because he gets to reminisce about something that had a massive impact on him. But also anybody listening that thinks, actually, do you know what? I've got a boss like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's what I wanted to try and take it all the way back to when you start. So yeah, talk to me about.
So I left school 1992.
Okay. Sorry, go on, Joe.
We're talking there now.
30 years.
34 years. 34 years ago, isn't it? Yeah, because I'm 50 now. Left school and I luckily got to train with Rochdale Football Club.
Okay.
So it was like a YTS kind of thing. So I was doing that. That was Monday to Friday. That was because we lived in Guy Bridge at the time, so we'd get the bus, remember the 400 express bus?
Right.
Come all the way from Manchester Airport all the way to Rochdale. That was 6:30. You'd get that up. If you missed it, then it was a bus into Ashton and Ashton to Oldham up to Rochdale, Rochdale then to the ground. So
no trams or anything at that point, right?
At the time, you didn't know the bloody timetables either, so it was hit and miss. But so we did that for 2 years. That was brilliant. Loved it because I just wanted to be a footballer.
Okay.
That was my dream when leaving school, was to be a footballer. Luckily, I got the chance to train up at Rochdale, and that kind of shaped me because it was all about graft. So you're getting up early in the morning, and in them days, what was the YTS? 35 quid, something like that. That's all you were getting. So I was still using me under 16s bus pass
Wow.
because I was really young looking.
Wow. Yeah.
Still got that now.
I mean, you don't
really,
look a day over 21, to be honest.
And so that would be the buses up to Rochdale, and then you would get there for 9:30. You'd go on a 5-mile run, and then you go back to the training pitches. I mean, the only downside with Rochdale at the time, there was no facility, so you were turning up at primary schools and training on concrete car parks or on the pitches full of crap.
Not like today, mate.
Oh, nothing like today. I'm envious of like what they've got, and I just think it's brilliant that that's how it's progressed.
Yeah.
The quality of the training and just everything about it. And everyone goes on, don't they, about footballers? Oh yeah, they've got it easy, this, that, and the other. You've got to go through years and years and years of training, getting into those academies, breaking through. And you know, I couldn't tell you how many kids actually get accepted, but however many teams are out in the league, it's only a few thousand.
Yeah,
and there's millions playing,
and it's brutal, right?
In what way?
So, I mean, we digress from your story, but so my lad's 11, and he got invited. He's been invited to Everton, and he's been invited to Bury, not Bury. Yeah, Bury. And then got invited to go to Man City's academy.
Right.
And we went there, and like he was blown away by it, but not in necessarily a good way. And we're Man City fans. And I think he wasn't used to it. So like, you know, during the training there, you don't sit on the floor in between. You know, they have this, your shirt's tucked in to your shorts.
Right.
And stuff like that. And when you stand there, and you're spoken to by the coaches, you stand quietly.
Yeah.
Your hands are behind your back.
Right.
Very regimented.
Yeah.
And when I was there, I was talking to another lady whose son was there, and her older boy, who was 14, 15, he was at Man United's academy, and he suffered an injury, and that was it. Just dropped him. That was it. Gone. Literally gone.
I think they can do that, can't they? Because there's so many there just to replace them. But I get, yeah, from that side it'd be brutal. Maybe in our day it wasn't as brutal, I didn't think, but then I wasn't playing at that level.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of like you turned up on a Monday night, you had like a school of excellence kind of thing. That's how you got picked. And then you obviously they saw you playing locally and stuff. That's how you got scouted, which is still the same today.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was basically that. And then obviously we would play against the likes of United, City, Everton, Liverpool, Wigan, Bolton, all them on the Saturday. And that was just a cracking experience because you're just out in the fresh air all day. You play football, and that's where you learn how to, you know, you had to man up.
Yeah.
Because when you were going up against the pros and stuff like that, you know, they took no prisoners. You had to learn quick. You know, the age of 16, this is it's not easy. It's not an easy ride. And that kind of embedded in me that desire to progress. Did I want to get better? How do I get better? What do I do to get better?
Okay.
You know, you're pushing yourself. I always pushed myself. So if it meant getting up early in the morning, going jogging, if it meant going into the gym, you know, or whatever, or like training 4 or 5 times a week, playing Saturdays and Sundays, you know, at the age of 14, 15, 16, play for your counties and all that carry on. So it gives you that drive. And I think I always had that drive to get better.
Okay.
You're testing yourself. You're setting yourself targets. Can I run that bit faster? Can I knock him out or whatever, you know, that kind of thing. So it taught you that. And then also it just taught you this camaraderie, you know, your teammates. I mean, I won't tell you everything, but some of the things that we were doing in changing rooms and, you know, in the bath areas, it was just, when you look back, you go, oh, it was funny.
Yeah.
And I have a friend as well who was part of the class of 92 at United. And I listened to his stories, you know, and you kind of reminisce about what it was like. And it toughened you. It was kind of like a softer version of the army, probably, but it toughened you up. And then, obviously, we got released, and I was telling you a story the other night. We got released, and when we would play likes of United or City or something like that, we were just blown away. You could see the massive difference in them and us. Their facilities, training facilities, the coaches are best in the world. So when we played them, you'd be something like 8-0 down at half time, and you'd be looking around going, "Wow, you're just blown away."
Yeah.
You mean you always tried your best because you know they were top teams. So when we got released, I thought, I'm not having this. So I thought to myself, I'm going to go ask Fergie for a trial. And I did actually go to Main Road.
Okay.
First of all. So I walked straight into the old Main Road stadium.
Yeah.
Because my cousin at the time was playing for a team called Main Road, and I thought it was City. My dad was going, he was placing the reserves. He's scoring all these goals. And I'm like, wow. He's like, yeah. So I went down
Okay.
to the city and I'm after a trial. What do you mean a trial? I'm after a trial. Well, Paul's playing for this reserve team. You reserve team. He's going, Paul, who's Paul Wadsworth anywhere? We ain't got anyone on the books called Paul Wadsworth. Uwe Rosler sat over here and he asked me, he said, what you coming for? So then I left there and I went up to United's ground, Littleton Road, where they were training. And at the time, it was the night after, I think it was the night, it was a couple of days after when they got told you'll win nothing with kids.
Right.
And I'm thinking, how do I approach Fergie? And I'm walking over onto the pitch. And them days, you could literally walk onto the pitch.
Yeah.
There's all these players and you got all these, you know, and I'm looking over thinking, nerves are starting to build. And then the next thing, Fergie just all of a sudden comes walking towards me on his own. I'm thinking, right, here it is. I'm going to ask him. And he come over, he said to me, he said, do you want a signature, son? Do you want the autograph? And I went, no. I said, I want a trial. He went, what? I said, I want a trial for United. I said, because if I had your training, I would be your new Roy Keane. And he
Right,
went,
okay.
well, that's a bit brave. So next thing, he puts his arm around my shoulder and we're walking to the changing rooms. And we goes into the changing rooms and we're chatting away about what, you know, because I knew the process, what happens. And he was asking me about Rochdale and stuff like that. And then next thing, he's getting undressed and he's getting into the shower. And I'm still talking to him like, what the hell's going on here? You know, he's there. And I'm thinking, you know, if you look back, you go, that would never be allowed today.
No.
And that was him. He just wanted to know about me, what I was up to. And then obviously the fact that I did what I did, he must have thought, well, this guy's got a bit of you know. We're talking, and then he writes the address down, his office number, basically saying, get yourself a team, and then we will, we'll be in touch, and we'll come out and scout like you do.
Okay.
And I'm like, wow. So then we're walking out of the changing rooms. You walk out these big glass doors, and you could see all these kids and newspaper reporters and stuff. And I'm thinking, we walk out, and he puts his arm around my shoulder, and he went, right, pretend you were my new star. So I'm signing autographs. And having pictures taken with him. And if I could ever chase them up, you know, it was just brilliant. And then obviously I sent him a letter and he sent one back. And
do you think it was from him?
Yeah. Because it was in the letter, it did state, you know, there was thanks for the meeting, absolute brilliant. You turned up like along them lines kind of thing. So I knew it was from him. Yeah. Because you did get a lot of the young apprentices, they would reply to letters and stuff. So I knew it was from him. And that just blew me away when you think back. And then obviously went to a couple of semi-pro teams and stuff. And again, it was that drive. You just wanted it. It was a desire that I always had. And it wasn't, if you remember in those days, Sky TV had only just started. Yeah. So as a kid growing up, you didn't really get to see many games on TV. Yeah. And what you did see was all these crap pitches. They're all muddy. The ball was in the air more than on the floor. So you weren't blown away with what like now you know what these footballers are getting up to, the lifestyle that they've got. In them days, you didn't. But it was just the desire to play football. You wanted to be a footballer. You wanted to be the best, or the best you could be. And so again, that was that drive. And then at the time, I made a part-time job at McDonald's in Ashton. Okay. Loved that. That was great. Yeah. And again, that was another job where it taught you not to stand still. You've got to be on the go all the time. You know, and there was incentives there. Didn't never have a star. Never got one of those stars. Okay. Because they never put me through it. So they always just said, you're on front, you're on the desk, you're serving, you're the quickest. We won't get rid of the queues. And then just it was just brilliant. Loved that. That was great. And I also then from there kept that job and had a part-time job at Heroes. I don't know if you ever remember Heroes, the pub downstairs. Yeah. Started off as a pot collector. Loved that. Because that was a fun bar. Everyone used to come downstairs. You had a DJ there who was dressed as Chubby Brown. He was just ripping everyone. The bar had karaoke, and then you had a hen party, stag parties all too. And then all your mates were turning up, and it was bouncing. And then I got a friend of mine, a really good friend, best friend at the time, Taggart. He came in, he started pot collecting, and I worked behind the bar then. Okay. Then we got Damo, there was Wardy, there was Dean, a few of us, and we just get this group together. And again, it was just, that work ethic, again, was always there. We were always just trying to improve, you know, even though we were in a bar and having fun, it was just combining the two together. And then we were those people at the end of the night that were stood in the bar doing the YMCA and stuff like that. You know, it was just fun. You guys still friends now? Still see them guys? A few of them have lost. Okay. You know, passed away. Some of them still keep in touch. But yeah, it was just working. I just love working. I just love being with the public. Yeah. You know yourself when you're chatting to people, you get to know them, you're talking. And I think that was I just enjoyed that. And then obviously I loved the nightlife down here in Ashton. That was just brilliant. We were down here regular for a good couple of years. And then what did I do then after that? Then I got myself a job working on the roads when 9X
Okay.
first
Yeah.
So my uncles were doing that, and oh no, sorry, tell a lie.
9X was a poor man's Sky, right?
It was the beginning.
Yeah.
It was the beginning. Everything was going through 9X. So everything that you have today was all through those trenches that we built years back to get all your what's it called, your cables in and stuff.
They run the broadbands through that now, don't they?
That's exactly yeah. So obviously Sky had the satellites and stuff. This was all underground, and that was a great job. And again, it was graft. You were up at 6. You picking my uncles up. We're driving up to Blackburn, places like that, digging the roads in the snow.
Yeah.
And again, the incentive was the more meters you dug, the more you got paid at the end of the week.
Right. Okay.
So you knew that if you're young around, you ain't getting no money at the end of the week. And that's how it was. And it wasn't a well-paid job. But if you all grafted and you put the effort in, then you'd get for, I mean, we did a couple of jobs around here, but again, it was just that, can you do more?
Yeah.
Can you do more? What more can you get out of it? And then I went working for a window company in Denton. I won't name any names. Not advertising for them. They do enough of that themselves. And again, that was just being in an environment, load of lads working, creating the window frames. And again, the incentives at the end of the week was the more frames you got, the more bonus you got.
Yeah.
So you're seen by putting that effort in, there was something there to aim for, and you got rewarded for it. And I do think that was a big part of me in general. Was I'd seen it, so I could see it, and then you kind of get that feel and you get that taste for the more you do, the more you get back.
So do you think that shaped you from a working perspective, in terms of it wasn't just a job that you got paid at the end of the month? It was very much the more you put in, the more you're going to get out of it.
The more you got out of it.
Okay.
And you were working for people who did, like say, they gave you that reward.
Yeah.
There's nothing working for someone. There's nothing worse than working for someone if they just don't, empty promises. They don't give you. And you think, well, what's the point of working for you? And then that loses the attraction, doesn't it? And people just, down tools, don't they? But no, I always had that drive. It was, I could see the bigger picture at the end of the line. It was more, and also the quality of your work as well. So that was that. And then we left there and working for my dad, because my dad had a kitchen bedroom company at the time.
So this is where we start, right?
So we'd always been in touch with the kitchens with my dad, because I always helped him out.
Okay.
And then it was a question of, this job's not working out as much. Those incentives were taken away. So, but I always knew in my head, I would have my own business.
Okay.
Didn't know what it was going to be. You just needed that break. And then I went working with my dad. So then my dad...
So sorry. So you've gone from the window place to working for your dad. How old are we at this point?
So that was 98. So what would I have been? 22?
Okay.
Yeah, 22 at this time. And then working for my dad, learned how to make the cabinets, went out doing the deliveries, then got involved in the fits, started doing the fitting of the kitchens, and the like cheap rental houses, learning your trade kind of thing. And then I always remember then my dad put the business up for sale, but no one would buy, because where it was up in Oldham, in a small industrial estate. There was no passing trade. What is it you're giving? What are you selling? You're just selling a unit with a saw in it, basically. But this guy came up, Ted Barr, who'd had 2 big successful kitchen companies,
right,
and bedroom companies. And he walked in this one day and he just said, I'm interested in buying your business. And we just both looked at each other and went, what? What are you buying? Why? And I knew of him, but I never knew him.
Right.
And so these discussions went on weekly. I kept saying to my dad, even if he doesn't buy, I'll buy it. Oh, no, you're not ready. You're not ready.
Right, okay.
I'm like, no, but you're going to sell it to him. And the deal was then eventually was Ted said, I'll buy it, but Joe's going half. Okay. So they had to come up with a figure. And this went to and fro and to and fro. So I said to my dad, I said, look, if you think that you're going to sell this business to him and me, then surely you think I'm ready. So I'll get it. I'll find the money.
So sorry, let me just take you back to that bit then. Why did this Ted say that? Why do you think that happened?
Well, I think to this day I still don't know why, but that was the beginning of me and my own business, and I'm forever grateful for my dad teaching me. but ever grateful for Ted coming in. And I think it was basically Ted just wanted to carry on doing the kitchen game because he'd come out of these 2 big companies. He still had a load of contacts. He was still doing a few jobs, but he wanted to do something on the side. So this was like perfect for him to go, there's a little job, Joe, you make it, we'll split the profit. And that's how it started. So I had to then, at the time, I didn't have that kind of money. It was 16 grand. So he had 8 and I had to pay 8. And I remember Ted turned up and gave him the money, and then I had to pay 100 quid a week.
Wow, okay.
So that was the deal. And then I could do my dad's Carcasses.
Yeah.
And then I'd do Ted's kitchens on the side. And then obviously at that time, they were the only 2 people I knew.
Yeah.
So it kind of ticked over a little bit, but then it was like the love triangle. He hated him and I hated him and he hated him. And then it was just like Ted went, right, I've had enough. I want to get out. And then I think my dad at the time realised it wasn't working for him. And I knew it weren't working for me because that first 2 years was awful.
Right.
But I was working on my own and I was putting the hours in, I was grafting for it because obviously there was a longer process them days to making cabinets. And then you would get the odd job. So then as the business was kind of starting, you can't rely on them 2 to bring the work in.
Yeah. So
I was going out, and at the time I didn't have a van. So I'd be going out in the car, sitting in B&Q car parks, writing numbers down. There's a kitchen company. I wonder if he needs his cabinets supplying.
Yeah.
So I knew straight away that I couldn't build cabinets and fit at the same time.
Yeah.
It was one or the other. I could supply and carry on building. So I'd make more money building cabinets for other kitchen companies.
Okay.
And then I could obviously go out and measure kitchens and supply those kitchens for the private sector. And so then I would go out, sit in car parks, write numbers down, phone these people up, who does your kitchens, who supplies you your cabinets, because obviously in them days, no Wi-Fi, there's no Wi-Fi, there's no internet, so you couldn't just Google a load of numbers and go, right, I'm going to send you an email.
Or do what everybody else does and say, on Facebook, does someone know a kitchen fitter?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you had to go out and get it.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved. It was because I used to work in a telesales company as well. So you was like, you've got the banter and I can do this for you. I can do that for you. And then obviously a couple of them just went, no, not interested. 1 or 2 trickled through. And then that slowly built up. And then I remember getting in with a guy. It's like, you'd hear people talking and they'd hear, oh yeah, I've just done a kitchen. I'd be like, who does your kitchen? Who makes your cabinets? Well, I get him from B&Q. What are you going to B&Q for? Come to me. I'll do your cabinets and stuff. And then there was one guy I got in with, and he was doing quite a lot of work. So then I ended up getting a lad in with us, taking that step to get a lad in. And you're thinking, well, I'll get him in for 2-3 days. It'll help us. And then 3 days come 4, and then it's 5 days full time, and then you've got him.
So what are we, early 2000s at this point?
So I took that business on. I started that business in 2001.
Okay.
So by about 2003. The first lad I had working with us, he worked with us. He worked with me for 7 years. And at this time we'd moved to a few units. But yeah, we started to progress. And again, just word of mouth.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of them, chasing. I don't think you'll realise work doesn't come to you in the beginning.
Yeah.
You've got to go out and get
Oh, yeah.
And you'll know yourself. And any business, you can't expect it to come to you. How can it if you're not putting yourself out there?
Yeah.
It's like putting a car up for sale. If you haven't got a for sale sign or it's not on anything, how does anyone know it's for sale?
Yeah.
Same with business. So I would go out, chase these people, and then obviously started to gradually build, and a couple of fitters, and then I'd go out on the measure a couple of jobs. And I made loads of mistakes at the beginning, cocked up loads of times, but I learned from it.
Give me an example.
So you'd measure something wrong, or you didn't account for a stop tap in underneath the sink, or you put a washing machine there, or you didn't allow for enough worktop, or you didn't allow for enough doors, or you got something wrong, them little things, because you've got loads of things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of components in a kitchen. It's not just a cupboard and a door. There's a lot of stuff going on. So in the beginning, and I wasn't taught how to design kitchens.
Okay.
So you learn how to design the kitchen the hard way.
Based off of what you can see as well, right?
Yeah.
So obviously when you go in, I assume if you've got the boiler in the kitchen, you've got to allow for building around that.
Building
and
around
all that
it.
sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just making sure everything fits. And yeah, like I say, you cock up. It's like anything, isn't it? The more you make mistakes, you will make loads of mistakes, and this goes to anything, as long as you learn from it.
Yeah.
You might make it again, but if you learn from it, and then obviously then it becomes second nature. I know about that.
Yeah.
First thing you do when you walk into a kitchen, you look at the design. I know that's going there, that's going there. Hold on a minute, what's behind there?
Yeah.
So yeah, then you learn from that, and then obviously then the business started to grow a little bit, and then we moved into a unit in Ashton, and that was 2008. Well, so yeah, 2008 when everything went,
Yeah.
when everything crashed,
Yeah.
and I remember it just went from being really busy to all of a sudden, if you're doing like 8, 9 kitchens a week, to all of a sudden doing 1 or 2.
Wow.
But the rent was big at the time. I think
Yeah.
it was £1,000 a month at the time. And then I just knew straight away, I thought, right, I've got to get out of here. I've got to find somewhere else. Luckily, there wasn't a big lease on it. It was privately owned, and the guy was, he was flexible,
Yeah.
reasonable. So I ended up moving to a unit in Audenshaw for half the price, which then meant that if you were only doing 1 or 2 kitchens a week, you could still afford to keep going. And so that was that. And then over the time, we moved then so we built the business back up. Then we went into the unit next door, which was 3 times the size.
Mm-hmm.
So we could produce more, because obviously like the goldfish bowl syndrome, in it, you can only do so much in this. Put the fish in a bigger bowl and you expand.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you look at it and go, 3 times the work, 3 times the staff, 3 times the wage, 10 times more their day, isn't it? So you sometimes you question it, but then I thought, no, it's right. And again, we progressed, got a nice showroom kitted out there. And I think during COVID or something, bloody hell, what were we doing? Nearly 20 kitchens a week.
Wow.
Supplying kitchen companies. So I supply kitchen companies with their cabinets.
Right.
And one of our bespoke things is we do colour-coded carcasses. So if you had a door like this worktop, we would do a carcass like that.
But match it.
So when you open up the doors, that's inside.
Yeah.
So a lot of people love that. Rather than having a white carcass or ivory or light grey, we were doing blues, yellows.
Right, okay.
And and then during COVID, that was just ridiculous, the amount of work that was coming in. And we had 3 lads working full time in the factory. I was working in the factory, going out, measuring, designing, delivering, supplying, all that carry on. And then obviously then everything just slowed down to a manageable way. And that's basically, that was the basic of the business, really.
Okay.
Supply kitchen companies, do our own designing, and now obviously I do a lot more supplying the public with their kitchens and bedrooms.
Okay.
Which I love, because you're going out, meeting new people, designing kitchens from, they come up with the ideas, you integrate those ideas into the kitchen.
Yeah.
You make it work. One thing I will say about ourselves, or about me, is I've got 25 years of experience in designing, fitting, supplying, whereas a lot of companies, these bigger companies, they take people on, they might be there for 6 months, been on a 2-week course.
Yeah.
How do they know the ins and outs? And I've seen the designs, and you look at them and you go, that won't work.
So in terms of, so you're still in the Audenshaw?
We were up until October last year.
Okay. So where are you now?
Hyde.
Okay.
Luckily, because one of the things I was saying to you was, so we're in that unit, and every 3 years, you get a 3-year lease, and every 3 years it would increase by 3-4 grand a year, maybe.
Yeah. Then
it was sold to this company. They oversaw everything, and then in October I knew my lease was coming up, and I had an inkling of how much it was going up by.
Right.
Because obviously with the units surrounding, there was going up. Some were doubling, some were tripling.
Yeah.
At the time, I was paying around about £30,000 a year rent, and it went up to 55.
Wow.
And you're thinking, how can you justify that?
Yeah.
Over 12 years of being in that unit, it increased 3 years, 3 grand every 3 years.
Yeah.
Which is manageable. And then when that came in, I mean, luckily I did a job for a lad who Russie's called, and we got talking. And he said to me about his unit. He's downsizing, doesn't need to use this part of the factory. He's going to split it up. And I'm like, yeah. And he's going, and then I'm thinking of doing this. I'm like, yeah. And then he said I said, what are you thinking rent? And he said, about this. And I'm like, carry on anyway. Yeah, but the downside is, he said, in 5 years, I'm thinking of selling it. I was like, Jesus Christ, Russ, why did I not know about you 10 years ago? So we ended up discussing. And then when the bill came through, how much they wanted 55 grand a year.
Yeah.
It's £1,000 a week. All right, an established business, but even still, why are we paying that? So anyway, got in with Russ. We got it all rigged up, set up, and we moved in there in November last year.
So we've got 5 years to save up to buy it off him.
Well, that's the idea. That's the target, you know. And what he's done is, and I keep telling him this, you've got to be grateful sometimes. Like for Ted turning up, you've got to be grateful that people turn up in, you know, in moments in your life where you just go, why did they turn up?
Yeah. It's got to be reasons for it, right?
Reasons, fate, you know, whatever it is. And then Russ just going out measuring that kitchen. Bear in mind, I quoted him his kitchen and I was half the price his best mate was supplying.
Wow, okay.
So he didn't know me from Adam. He only knew of me through a friend. So I'd done this kitchen for him, lovely kitchen. And then when we got chatting, cracking bloke, nice lad. And then we just got on and obviously we just hit it off from there. And I said to him, you've allowed us as a business to keep going for another 5 to 10 years. If we were to stay in these places that are charging these rents, what happens if you have a couple of bad months? You're down.
Yeah. You know, I do get it. I mean, even from a residential perspective, and just quickly touch on the rents. I mean, obviously from where we are, you know, the rents certainly.
Hold on a second, you've supplied a cup with no water in.
Well, you brought your own water. I was going to get you some water, Joe, but you should have just pretended. You should have just pretended. Well, that's why I thought you brought your own. So I wonder what's actually in it.
Yeah, I'm not advertising co-op.
So, well, you are now because you've just said it out loud. Turn it around, but I'm not going to advertise it. Yeah. So from a residential perspective, like the rents since COVID, they've just grown exponentially, and it's like even
Scott's favorite word, isn't it?
Exponentially. Yeah. But even like when I go and do valuations, or you know, when the girls go out and do valuations, and we look at it and we think from a moral perspective, this is really difficult for me to value because I'm going to value this 2-up-2-down terraced house that 4 or 5 years ago was $550 a month, and now I'm going to say it's £1,000 a month, you know, or $950 a month. And I've got to say that because that's what the market value is. That's what the market has now dictated. You know, so but morally, yeah, it's difficult because I know that people are going to struggle paying that type of rent, you know, without, you know, a steady income or, you know, a good job or whatever it may be. But that's the market value now.
So where did it change then? I mean, you've obviously, how long have you been in your business now then?
So I've been working in property now for about 15 years. So, you know, I started.
So that was just after the crash then, weren't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So John, who you know, who's my uncle, he owned, it was called The Property Centre. And then he knew that the crash was going to happen and he got rid of the sales aspect of his business and renamed it to to the letting agency.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just after the crash, he kind of brought me in. I was working at KFC at the time.
Which one?
I was an area manager.
Right.
So I worked in Piccadilly train station. There was one in there. Then I opened Stockport. Worked at Trafford Retail. Worked at Trafford Centre.
Right.
So I worked there, and then I came over to work for John. And rents were always steady, right up until COVID. When COVID hit, and we kind of came back after COVID, the rents just started going up and up and up. And for me, the reason for that was because it was like a domino effect, right? So you had these people that were stuck in flats that couldn't go out anywhere. They didn't have a garden or anything like that thought, right, well, I want to move because if this happens again, I can't be stuck in this flat.
Yeah.
So I want a garden. I want somewhere with a yard or something like that where I can at least sit out. So you had all these 2-bed terraces with small yards that people were moving from because the people that were in the 2-bed terrace with small yards thought, well, I can't do this again.
Mm-hmm.
I need a bigger house with a bigger garden. And so people just shifted and they all shifted up one.
Yeah.
And when they were doing that, because the market knew what was happening, the rents just started going up automatically, almost, because it was like, well, I know that you want this house with this bigger garden, so I know that I can theoretically charge you more now for this rent.
Yeah.
And the same then happened for the smaller terraced house with the yard.
Yeah.
And then the flats went up because you had the people that thought, I'm gonna need a flat because I can't get stuck with my mum and dad again. Do you know what I mean? And so those people wanted the flats. The flat people wanted the small terraced houses. The small terraced houses wanted the bigger terraced houses. The biggest terrace houses wanted the semi-detached houses with the big gardens and, you know, in a quieter place with nobody attached to them and stuff like that. So, and that for me is the reason why that happened.
Right.
But then because of that, everything just became more expensive for people in terms of rents.
I think everyone just profiteered. I really do think.
What, from COVID?
Well, even that, like you say, just putting things up because you want it. When you said because they want it, they know they can charge it. You know,
but yeah, I get that, and maybe I've come across as a bit, I don't know, arrogant by saying that. I didn't mean it that way, but it's supply and demand, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the supply isn't there because people, you know, are filling it so quickly. So the demand for it's higher, so you're going to charge a higher premium for it.
Well, I think
it's just the nature of business, right?
Of course it is, and I think also, I mean, you were hearing stories of people queuing up to view houses.
Oh yeah.
You know, there was a couple up near us where we live, and you were hearing stories, people queuing up. Bear in mind, you were allowed to view houses, people going to people's houses to view houses.
Yeah.
What the hell was that about? You know, you weren't allowed anyone around, but you could allow some random person to view your house.
Yeah.
Because he was interested in buying it. Yeah. And like people queuing up.
But the buying was the same, right? So in terms of rentals, that was why people were moving. Buying was the same.
Yeah.
So obviously the people that owned the houses then wanted a bigger house in case it happened again.
Yeah.
And I think it was just a mentality thing.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, even like say, I mean, we were doing kitchens. I mean, in the showroom, people were walking into the showroom, and I'd be like, "Hold on a second, there's a family in there." You know, hang fire. Not bothered. You bothered? No, I'm not bothered. I remember having 4 families in the showroom walking round, and he was like, "You know, are you that desperate for a kitchen?" Yeah. You're the only one who's answered his phone.
Yeah.
You know, because everyone was that busy.
Yeah.
And then I remember, you know, you go into people's houses and you measure it up. The first thing they would say is, "I know things have gone up, so don't worry."
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Serious? And I'm thinking to myself, why are we not complaining? Why is no one kicking off? Why are we all just accepting the fact that everything's going up so much? You know, because when I have a friend who says, "I've got prices." I said, "What's that?" And he went, "You're scared of going for the big number, aren't you? So when you go out and price a kitchen, so if I come to your house and I'm pricing the kitchen up for you, let's say it's coming in at $6,000, I'll look at that and go, where can I save on that?" And if I can save, and I used to do it all the time, I'd have a figure wrote down in my book and I go, right, your kitchen is, and I go, it should be $6,000. I go, I can do it 5.5, because I was always that way inclined. It's like what you were saying there, morally, are you charging the right figure? Or
so I get that, but then why are you eating the cost?
I'm not. There's profit there. There's profit there.
Right. Okay.
Sometimes I know people who buy the same products as me. They buy it from the same suppliers, and they will go out. And I've seen some of the quotes that they've given out, and it'll be $5,000 dearer than me.
Yeah.
That's just greed.
Yeah. No, I get that. No, I get that.
And I've got no problem with that.
So we're the same, right? So for us as an estate agent, you know, if I come and value your house, let's say it's 150 grand, you know, you can go to some other estate agents that will charge a 1.5% fee, and I'll charge £1,500. Now, in terms of what you're going to get, the service would probably be better with us, but you'll go with the name. Most people will go with the name,
the
right?
Badge. We call it the badge.
And the thing is as well, and something that I don't do in my business is we don't do percentages in terms of from a sale perspective, because I think a lot of the bigger companies hide behind those percentages. So I've just said I'll do it at a flat fee of 1,500 for a £150,000 house, but they're going to do it at 1.5%. All of a sudden, for some reason, and I don't know whether it's because we've got this innate inability to be able to recall what we used to do in school when we learned maths, 1.5% sounds less than 1,500, but 1.5% of £150,000 is a lot more than £1,500. And so, I mean, it's not that much more, but you get the point.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, well, I'm going to go with you because the 1.5% sounds a lot less. Do you know what I mean? And so, and that's what people do.
Yeah.
So we do the exact same thing, right? Our fees are based upon, for me, the amount of work and effort that we put in, what I feel we should justifiably be paid for.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's what you're kind of saying, right?
Yeah, of course it is. Because I've said this to numerous people. It doesn't matter if it's a cheap kitchen or a really expensive kitchen. You still put the same amount of time.
Yes.
You put the same amount of effort in, and you'd give them the same service.
Yeah.
And that's how I see it sometimes. A lot of people will go, yeah, well, you can get more for it. You could do. But
yeah,
from my point of view is I'm giving my service. And sometimes, I can't put a price on it. It's just, I just enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
And it brings, and like I said, the amount of work that we've had over the years, it's all recommends.
Okay.
I don't really advertise, and it's all word of mouth and it's recommends. And that's one of the hardest things to get is a recommend, because you know yourself, if you make a mistake or you give a bad service, people won't recommend it. So if you are doing a regular service and your prices are keen, your service is good, and you're looking after what you do, then it keeps coming back.
Yeah, of course.
And that's how I found it. Like Ted said, he said the first thing he said to me was, don't be greedy.
No.
Don't be greedy. You'll have loads of work if you're not greedy. And it's true. Because I've seen so many companies struggle, not just in the kitchen game, friends who've struggled as well, where they are looking for that big number.
Yeah.
And you see, and I always said this fair, he said, well, yeah, but what happens if you miss a month because you were too greedy?
Yeah.
That's a month without work or a month without pay.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like, but if you could do it, and my dad was always like, yeah, but you could do 5 jobs that and get that amount of profit, or you could do 1 big job and get, yeah, but what happens if you don't get that one job? Yeah. You could have had them 5, so it's like, you've got to keep the momentum going.
Again, same with us, really. Yeah. I could go after £1 million house that I could sell, or I could go after 550 grand houses.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm going to go after the 550 grand houses.
Yeah.
So yeah, I suppose the principle is
I think it is. It's knowing what your market is. It's knowing what you're capable of doing, and also knowing what you want from it. Because like I say, when you say morally, when you were saying about the price, you've got a quote for those houses or rent or whatever, deep down you're thinking, it's a lot, this.
Yeah, it is.
It is a lot. Yeah. How it's like, say I've got that house to rent, and I've kept that reasonably low for the last 5 years because the family in it have been brilliant. Yeah. They've looked after the house. I mean, we live right opposite, so it's like, and your John said, don't get a house right opposite. I went,
I definitely don't.
It's, his advice was, don't do it. Best thing that's ever happened. We get on brilliant.
You're lucky.
We're lucky. I know we are. Yeah, I know we are. But the family have been brilliant. And
that's also why you haven't put the rent up, because they know where you live.
Well, it's one of them
knocking on your door.
Well, the house was done, brilliant. My dad did the house; he did all the renovating on it. So nothing. There was only one thing that ever went wrong. It was just a slight leak. And in the 5 years, we've had no issues and nothing like that. And you can see that the kids are absolutely enjoying being there because they've come from where they've come. And so you get that. And I was charging $750 a month. I know it was low, but the mortgage was low, and I wasn't greedy.
So that's different, right? So I get that and I understand it, but I think. And what I always say to my landlords is that whilst I understand that, and morally that is probably the right thing to do, if something happens to you and you need to sell that property quickly, if you haven't got your rent market value, that becomes incredibly difficult to sell. Because if an investor was to come and say, right, okay, well, I'm going to offer you this, but that's not the market value, because they're going to base their value, what they believe it's worth, off what that rent is. They're only going to know what that annual yield is that's going to make them,
right?
Based off of that rent. So if it's too low and you're asking too much, you would find it really, really difficult to sell. So I've got landlords that are in that position now. When I bought this business off John, and obviously we've still got Your Property Centre, but I also have Thompson Estates. So Your Property Centre landlords, there is a lot of them now that want to exit the market, not necessarily to do the renters' rights or anything like that, but just because they're naturally coming towards the end of wanting to be a landlord, right?
Right.
And I had a landlord that has got no children. They wanted to sell their properties because they want to get on a cruise ship and go, around the world on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You've worked your backside off all your life. You deserve that. But when it comes to trying to sell them, it's like, oh, this is really difficult to sell. And it's because he never put the rents up. Never put the rents up.
So what do you mean then? Because he never put the rents up, these new investors, the people, potential buyers.
Yeah, because the problem is that, so when you buy as an investor, what you do is you take the value of the house that is whatever they want to sell it for, and then you take the monthly rent, annualize it, and then divide that into your the price of the house. And normally you want to be aiming for something around 10%. Okay. If your rent's lower, obviously that percentage is going to be an awful lot lower. So if your percentage is lower, you're not going to want to buy it, are you? Because it's not making.
You're
you
saying
enough
selling
money.
these properties as an investment to carry on renting?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying in your set of circumstances is, if God forbid, touch wood, something was to happen to you or a member of your family, and you needed that equity out of that property pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
If you've not kept up with market values on your rents, you wouldn't be able to sell that to an investor. You would have to then either sell it on the open market with them in it, which is going to be very unlikely, or you're going to have to ask them to leave the property.
Right, got you.
Which can take months and months and months.
Yeah.
So if you need that money out of that property, you're in a real sticky wicket.
I understand where you're coming from.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and that makes sense.
And that's why, whether morally it's the right thing to do or not, for me, you've got to stick with market values. You know, and unfortunately the government have decided, I mean, we're digressing now, we're talking about me rather than you, but with the Renters' Rights Bill. I want to know you. With the Renters' Rights Bill, for instance, so the Renters' Rights Bill is something that the government have produced. Obviously, you're a landlord, so you're going to have little bits of inklings. But from the 1st of May, there's going to be no fixed term tenancies anymore.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they get rid of Section 21, which is non-fault eviction. But also what they are doing is that there's going to be no bidding wars on rentals. So for instance, if you've got a property for sale and it's on at 150 grand, you could offer 160 grand for it if you want to secure it, so you know you've got it.
All right.
Or it's offers over or offers in the region of. With rents, you used to be able to do that. From the 1st of May, you can't. So if I've got a property on the market at £1,000, and I'm thinking, right, well, I definitely want that property, so I'm going to say, oh, can I give you 1,100? Can I definitely have it?
Right.
They've knocked that on the head now. Right. So you can't do that any longer.
Yeah.
But what that means is that what agents and landlords are going to do is, instead of putting a property that is worth £1,000 on the market, they're going to put it on at 1,100 or 1,200. So now, I know no one's going to offer above that, but they might offer below it, but I'm still going to get more than what I would have got if I put it on at £1,000.
Yeah.
And so the government, in their infinite wisdom, have thought that this was a good idea, but it's not. It's inherently going to just push the rents further up, which again comes back to that moral question of whether the rental prices are right. Do you know what I mean? And that's the problem with people making legislation that don't necessarily understand the business. It's like me coming to you and telling you how to fit a kitchen, or I'm not going to have a clue.
Like what you've just told me there about the mortgage,
You know, so I think when you look at things like that, it gives a different spin on stuff. And it's difficult sometimes to really get other people to understand what's happening in a sector that you don't necessarily know a great deal about, but without it coming across as condescending or anything like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so that's the struggle that I'm having at the moment from a moral perspective, but obviously from a business perspective, we've got to do that.
Yeah, you got to follow the trend, don't you? Otherwise, you're just going to let left behind,
and we're just going to stand still.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah. So quickly back on you mentioned something earlier about when you go out and you design kitchens and things like that, and we've spoke about AI, and I think you've mentioned it before. So in terms of you designing the kitchens, and I've had Mike Harrison on, who you know, who's Tameside Pergolas, and what he said was that he now gets people that will just send him a picture of a garden that chat's made, and say, can you do that? So do you worry that is going to take over a little bit of what you do in terms of of the designs and things like that? Are they just going to show you a picture and say, Joe, I want that because that's what chat says will fit? And you've got it on apps now, right? You can take a photograph and then it'll design the whole room for you and stuff. So do you think that'll help you?
Yeah, because so I'm not tech savvy, so I've got a laptop, right? Which
I've got a laptop and a phone
and some pigeons. The pigeons still fly around. No, so basically, we go out and design a kitchen. And the first thing I always say now, because obviously I've seen how Wren work and I've seen how Howden's work and everyone else. So they go out and they'll do a design and they'll give them a drawing of how the kitchen looks and they'll give them a floor plan of where things are going to go. And then customers look at it, and then what they do then is they go and get that plan, and then they go around and bring it round to every kitchen company.
Okay.
So, which I don't blame them. I get,
but
you don't. So from my point of view, I know 9 times out of 10 that when I design a kitchen, it fits.
Yeah,
it works, because when I look at Wren and I look at Howden's and all the others, I know it doesn't work sometimes. I'm not saying it's every time, but I'll look at it and go, well, that doesn't work. I've got kitchen fitters who come to us all the time. I've just done a Wren kitchen. I've had to cut this down, or I'm not calling them, but basically, that's the bottom line is sometimes they don't always work. But I design a kitchen. I speak to the customer about it, give them an idea of what's going in. We discuss everything. I don't have the time at the time to do a drawing. So when you go to Wren, it's 3-4 hours. I basically want the customer to know that what we're doing is right. We're designing the kitchen based on what they want, and we're trying to integrate everything that they want into the kitchen.
Yeah.
If there's something that doesn't work, I'll explain why it doesn't work. I don't say you can't have it. You explain, and then I try and give them an understanding of why it doesn't work.
Okay.
So, for example, you get asked a lot, can you put an island in the kitchen? Sometimes you can't, because you need walkway space. You need to design it in a way where the kitchen's practical. You don't want to be just shimmying around things. So we do all that. And then what I do then is I give the customer the price based on what we spoke about. And then if they want the drawings, we do a drawing. Now, I've done these drawings, and just recently I'll send the drawings, and it's I wouldn't say it's basic, but it's decent drawings, AutoCAD, where it shows you the kitchen, the layout. And then what they do then is they get that, they put it into ChatGPT or whatever, and it comes back, and I go, wow, that's smart. I like that. Because you don't know everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and say I do. But when you see something like that, I go, what great. Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. I like that. I like it. Yeah, we can do that. No problem. Then it all comes down to the figure. Because we all know, don't we? We'd love this. We all want to live in a 6-bedroom detached house overlooking a lake or something like that.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
So then we have to basically be realistic and say, well, you can have all that.
Yeah.
But with that comes a price.
Yeah, of course.
So and then you give them a price, and I like to break down prices. This is what it is for your units, your doors, your handles. If you want to go with a quartz worktop, that's what it would be for quartz. If you want to go for a laminate, that's what it is. I try to give the customer as much information as they need, so then they can make the decision.
Yeah.
Not go in and go, well, it's going to cost you 20 grand. Well, why is it costing 20 grand? It's 20 grand. I like to say, well, you're getting this, and this. We're supplying this. You have the option of going with quartz worktops, because everyone goes, well, I'd like the idea of quartz, but I don't think I can afford it. I'll go, I'll price it for you.
Yeah.
It takes 10, 20 minutes. I'll get you a price.
But they're also paying for, like, I know you touched on it before about, you knock your prices down a little bit and you want to be reasonable and morally you want to, set the right prices. But the prices have got to be reflective of your experience as well, right? You mentioned you've got 25 years of doing this.
Yeah.
So 25 years experience costs. Any way you look at it, it costs. It's like, have you ever seen that picture of it's like a horse. I'm sure it's a horse. I might be talking out the backside.
What you've been watching.
So it's a picture of a horse, right? And at the back side of the horse is like drawn by a kid, right?
Okay.
Or it's drawn by somebody that's not got a great deal of experience of drawing. And then the front is drawn by an artist.
Right.
And it's like an advert of saying you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is a undeniable benefit of paying for experience. So
course there is.
that front part of that horse
Yeah.
is done by somebody that has got years and years of experience of drawing and being an artist.
Yeah.
Whereas the
one at the
back
back
hasn't. And so it's a visualization of you paying for that experience. For me, you're paying for that experience. It's like an electrician, right?
Of course.
You're paying because they've studied, they've, passed whatever courses that they need to pass in order to get to that level of expertise.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily be able to go and rewire a house. I sell houses and I rent houses out, but I wouldn't be able to go and rewire one.
Yeah.
But I know if it needs to be rewired, and then I pay for an expert to go in and do it.
Yeah, of course you do. And you can tell
that has to be the same for you, right?
I suppose it does in a way, but I take pride in what I do, as in I have got that experience. Sometimes you look at it and you go, wow, that's all come from that experience. That's come from that experience.
Yeah.
And I think you put that whole package together and you get a service. And I think I'm happy with the service I give. Sometimes you can put a value on that. Sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
But no, in terms of experience, I'm giving them my experience and my know-how.
Yeah.
Based on what I know. But at the same time, I'm selling a job. I'm selling a kitchen.
Yeah.
They're accepting me in their house. They're accepting us as a company. They're accepting me as a person.
Yeah.
And then obviously the fitters involved. So yeah, you're giving a service and you're giving your experience. But at the same time, I think, the thing is, there's a lot of us out there. And that's one thing I realized, from 2007 onwards, there was more and more kitchen companies.
Right, okay.
And I'm not saying that I'm competing, because I just say, well, that's my price.
Yeah.
That's what we charge.
Yeah.
And I know, for example, there was one there last week, we were $3,000 cheaper than Howden's. And I know that the Howden's plan doesn't work.
Right.
Seen it. But that doesn't mean I have to go and put another $2,500 on that price.
No.
Just because they have.
Yeah, I get that.
I have my figure, and I have what I work, my profit margin, whatever it is, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
That's what keeps us going. So if we're doing between, I don't know, 50 to 80 kitchens a year, supplies, fits, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you're doing your trade lads as well. So again, it's all down to you as a person. Are you greedy?
Yeah.
Are you being greedy? Are you profiteering?
I wasn't answering that question, by the way.
No. Yeah, I am. I'm well greedy. I want more. So yeah, you've got to kind of basically, it's, there's greedy people out there.
Yeah.
And you're giving the same service, you're supplying the same product, but yet you want $4,000 more than I do. And I know I've got my profit margin in my job, but yet you've got my profit margin plus an extra $4,000.
But it's like, it's the same. I touched on it before, didn't I, about, a high street named estate agent that will charge a certain fee. But when we've got that property and we advertise it, we all put it on Rightmove. It's in the same place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's not about the visibility of the property, because everybody posts it in the same place. It's about the service after that you provide.
Yeah. And I think also as well, you can say that. And then obviously it's the same thing we were saying before with the badge. So I've supplied kitchens. I've fitted kitchens down in London, which is like the in-frame kitchen, you say the top range kitchen.
Yeah.
And I remember pricing it up, designing it, fitting it. And I think it came in at $25,000.
Wow.
And then the customer said to me afterwards, do you know how much I got quoted from such a body and such a body? And I went, yeah, I've got an idea. $125,000. I copied the kitchen. I copied it because it's the same product.
Wow.
Cabinets are the same. Doors were the same. All painted the same. Quartz worktops. And I remember, because he was from Openshaw, my mate, and I've actually got his kitchen on the side of the van. And I just said to him, he said, are you not pissed off? You're not like annoyed? And I went,
so you can swear it, I think.
Yeah,
okay.
well,
I won't tell you what.
Are you not annoyed? And I went, no, because I'm happy that I've done that job. I said, I take pride in what we've done.
Yeah.
What would have been the customer services afterwards? You would have got a better customer service from me. Because if anything went wrong, I'm the one you deal with.
Yes.
I'm the one who goes back. I'd started the process. I was during the process, and I'm at the end of the process.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Anything goes wrong, we'll put it right. We'll sort it out. It goes through telephone sales, to the sales reps, it goes to the people who are in charge of maybe the manufacturing, whatever. So it's like, no, how can you? And they make their own product. So I had to buy the doors in. and they're making their own doors, and you're thinking, wow, it's a badge.
Yeah.
You're not getting anything different from them than you are from me.
Yeah.
And yet you're saving an absolute fortune.
100%.
And it's just down to name. All right, they've got massive premises. They've got showrooms in, like, you know, wherever, South Manchester, whatever.
Yeah, but
up and down the country, they've got beautiful brochures and stuff like that. I get that, but
a crazy amount, right?
That's a lot of difference, isn't it?
So in terms of your business, and you mentioned your age earlier, so did you say you were 50 now?
Yep. Why are you looking at
No. So
are you 50?
What do you want to do? Where is Unique Kitchens and Bedrooms going
I
to
want to give it all up and become a lap dancer.
Do you?
Seriously. After driving past Heroes before, I thought I could do that again.
I'll tell you a quick story, right? Nothing to do with it. Right. So obviously with rentals, I go and do inspections, right? And I went to this house, and in the living room, this girl had a pole.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously, my first thought is not what I think. Is not a fireman. She's not a fireman. I was like, so one, is that safe? And two, is that ruining?
Why did you think it was? Is it safe?
Well, because I've just got visions of her pulling my ceiling down in this house, and I've got to ring my landlord up and say, so we've got a bit of an issue in your house. So I was like, is that okay for the floor? Is it okay for the ceiling? So it was like this a pole, and then you spin the pole, and it works on like a hydraulic thing. It pushes the top and bottom of it up, right? And so I said to her, I said, I'm really sorry. I'm just making sure that that's okay. She said, well, yeah. She said it's got like a pad on the top,
didn't sniff it, did you?
a pad on the bottom. And I said, how does that stay up? And she went, oh yeah, no, it's pretty secure. I'll show you.
Oh, yeah.
So she swung around this pole, and I'm like, well, I mean, it didn't move, to be fair. The ceiling still stayed there.
It never moved.
So I was like, yeah, okay. I'm just going to quickly check the rest of the house, and then I'll be out of your way. But yeah, so she swung around this pole for me just to prove that it didn't.
It was fixed.
It didn't.
No problem.
And it was like, it's not screwed in or anything. It's just the way that it's done.
Yeah, because it's a fitness thing now, isn't it?
Yeah. So I didn't know that before.
No, I didn't.
But when I did a little bit of investigating on it,
it's a thing.
Yeah, and apparently it's really hard, really, really difficult.
I would imagine it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you need some core muscles to get yourself up there. Do you know what I mean?
Jump over the gate, have a mind swing around.
That's what I mean. So yeah, how did we get on pole?
Because no, you asked me out. Where do we go from there?
So in 5 years' time, after your pole dancing.
So I would obviously, now that we're in these premises where we have got another 5 years worth of getting stuck in. I think I'm one of them. During COVID, I always remember thinking, "Wow, is this it? It's all we're doing is just grafting." And I'd talked to numerous people, and they'd be in all different types of industries, and they would all say the same: they're stressed.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest problems that you've got is stress. But I think that's one advice I would give to any person trying to start the business is, like I did, is start small.
Yeah.
Because I think if I was to start my business at the rate I'm going now, I wouldn't cope. I wouldn't be able to cope. So it's took me years and years of gradually getting bigger, bigger and bigger to a point where you can manage everything. Because I manage everything, the ordering, the logistics, the designing, the supplying, the phone calls, people, problems, everything else. If you were doing what I'm doing now 25 years ago, I would have gone, no, it's not worth it.
Right, okay.
So from that point of view, I think obviously as you grow older as well and you get a bit more experience, stress just goes over your head a little bit. You do have days when you get a bit stressed. I mean, yeah, you do. Because there'll be loads, and that's the thing with running your own business, isn't it? Anything can happen. I always say my business changes every 10 minutes. 1 minute I'm flying, I'm thinking, yeah, I've got all this to do. I'm going to do this, and this, and then bang, someone comes in, I've got a problem.
So you touched on it there, like you just try and let stress go over your head and stuff like that. But sometimes it's difficult, right?
Of course it is.
So as a business owner, how do you deal with that? Because it's
drink.
Because it's lonely
Constantly.
sometimes, right? It's lonely sometimes.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I find, even though I've got a wonderful team around me.
Yeah.
You know, and I can trust, I can go away on holiday and not worry.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the business aspect of it, I can't really have those types of conversations with my staff, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's difficult because maybe that's why I started this. Do you know what I mean?
To find out how everyone else is dealing with it.
To maybe get a few best practices from other people. So you just say you let the stress go over your head, but how do you do that?
There was a time when you didn't.
Okay.
So you can feel it building up, and that you can.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm quite, and I think I put this down to all of growing up and the jobs that you've had, and I think every job has an experience later on in life. You might not see it then when you're doing that job or whatever, but as time goes by, you go, oh yeah, I got
each job is like a puzzle, right?
Oh, it's a stepping block to everything.
Yeah. And each one will change your mindset about what you're going to do in your next one.
If I hadn't worked in McDonald's, I probably wouldn't have had that philosophy that you don't stand still, blah, blah, blah. And I take that into my business. So when I see the lads stood still, floors this week, or this, and I've got great lads who always had great lads who work with us. So that little job there, that drive that I always had at football to being better, can I do things? It's like even when I was making cabinets, I would time myself 8 minutes. It took me to bit, right, well, I kind of find a way of getting that.
Right, okay.
And I do it with the lads. I'll time them, they won't know, and then I'll say to them, have you tried this? So you're progressing on that then. And then everything else that you've done, like you've driven yourself, you put it all together in this package. And it might, like say, it's 25 years of working for myself. But then again, it's like you say, with the stress levels, it was, you have sleepless nights. I remember when I first started the business, loads of sleepless nights. Yeah. There was times when you didn't want to even go and work because it just got too much for you. Now, but I think you've got to, I think the hardest part is, I think dealing with stress is, there will be issues. You have to accept there are issues.
Yeah.
As a business owner, you take it personal. If someone calls you out and says, well, you made a mess of that, or you did that wrong, or you let me down, you take it personal.
Yeah.
And then that can stress you out. And then I think sometimes that's why you end up giving a better service, is because you learn from that mistake.
I do that a lot.
Yeah.
So I like
people pleasing. Some ways.
So Hayley, that works for me. She tells me all the time I take it too personally. So like if I go out and do it, even just if I do a valuation and I don't get it, it's like, well, what did I do wrong? Because I feel like I must have done something wrong not to get that instruction on that val. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but I'll come back and it's done. It doesn't matter. It's gone now.
I think that's it. At the very beginning, it's like you need as much work as you can. You need everything to come your way. You need to chase it and that stuff. And then you do get, like you say, it gets serious. You get a bit emotional about it sometimes. Yeah. Why did I get that? Why did he get that? I mean, so. And I think as you grow older as well, I think sometimes, it's like, so I coach a girls' football team.
Right.
They're now under 18s. So it started under 10s. And I know how to play football, but I never coached.
Right.
And there was loads of things. Caroline would be like, you're a bit harsh on them and like that. Parents loved it.
Yeah.
When you're a bit, I mean, not harsh, I wasn't kicking them or hitting them.
Yeah.
I was just
frowned upon that.
Just got an headlock and then like, come on, you
choke them out.
Yeah. An Ashton headlock, we used to say. And then ended, but so then I was learning from that, and it was like, hold on a minute, and then you get stressed, we get beat after a game, and I'd be like, sat at home going, oh God, what happened? Why did that?
Yeah.
Then as the years go on, you're like, all right, you got beat. Why did it go wrong? So I always say you learn more in defeat than you do in victory.
Yeah, 100%.
And I say to the girls this, I said, what did we do wrong? Why did we get beat? Why? What happened? How do we put it right? You can put that right in the next training session. And I think as well, I think you've got to take these stressful moments, learn from them. Why are you getting stressed?
Yeah.
There are ways of de-stressing, as we all know. There's, all sorts of breathing techniques. There's yoga, there's exercise is massively important.
Yeah.
And keeping active, because I think the more you dwell on something, the more it gets bigger. That problem gets bigger in your head, doesn't it? And you visualize this problem of getting bigger and to a point where you can't fix it.
Yeah.
Everything, like John Lennon said, there's no problems, only solutions.
Correct.
And I look at that all the time. There is a way out.
Yeah.
And numerous times the lads in the workshop might make a mistake. I made loads of mistakes. And I'll say to them, look, Did you mean to make that mistake? No. Right, well, let's deal with it. And I say to the girls at football, put your hand up if you meant to make that mistake. And they all go,
Yeah.
you tried. It didn't work out. Why? Something might have been...
It's all about the intention, right?
Of course it is. It's all about
Do you know
doing
what I mean?
it right.
Yeah.
Accepting that you've made a mistake. Own that mistake.
Yeah.
And then deal with it and then get on. And I think the more as you grow older and the more you deal with things, and obviously when these problems do arise, you have a solution, don't you? Sometimes it can get to a problem, you know, there's other things in life you make you stressful or whatever, but I think it's just learning. And I think you've got to tell yourself there will be problems,
Yeah.
but there's always a way out. There's always a solution. And like I say, I mean, I do a lot of yoga at the moment. I do sound baths. I mentioned to yourself, sound baths. I've always exercised. I've always been out, you know, I've always kept myself active like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up, I didn't even know what the word stress meant.
Yeah.
Because you were out, I was, and I know a lot of people say, oh yeah, I was out every night. No, you weren't, because I was knocking on, you weren't out. I know you weren't in. I know you were in. But no, we were out constantly, and then we were always out playing football. It was 4 or 5 times a week.
It's different though now, right?
Yes. I think it
is. I mean, I remember when, you know, when I was a kid, and I'm not that much younger than you, but I am.
How old are you?
How old do you think I am?
44.
42.
42.
42. So I'm 42. So I'm not that much younger than.
No.
But you know, it's like everybody had a green at the end of the street and stuff, where you go and play football, or you know, there'd be a field round the corner somewhere where you'd go, or there'd be a woods that you'd go, or there'd be somewhere where you could go and cycle somewhere, you know, or a street where you go and get a ball and play Kirby. Do you know what I mean? And I just don't feel like it's there anymore.
I think, and I see it with the girls. I mean, one of the best things that ever could have happened to me was becoming a coach.
Right.
Because you are in touch with it. I mean, obviously, I got 2 daughters. They're 18 and 17 now. And it was my daughter came back one night. She went, guess where I've been, Dad? I was like, what? I've been football, training football. I was like, oh, wow, nice. Because at the time, I was still playing Sunday League with the lads and stuff. And I was like, oh, brilliant. And then the opportunity came up where the guy came over and went, look, I've got a load of girls here that are not old enough to play for us. Would anyone want to volunteer? And I went, yeah, I like a bit of that. I love it. I love the idea of doing it. But what it's allowed me to do is you can see the kids growing up. Yeah. And you can, there are kids out there playing. I think the kids today are brilliant. Yeah. I really do. And there are a lot of, it's that thing, isn't it, when you listen to the pundits, you know, your ex-footballers slagging off the footballers of today. And I read an article, basically, psychologists say it's because they are protecting their legacy.
Yeah, of course they are, yeah.
And that's what older people are doing today, is protecting. We were always out. We were always doing this. No, you weren't.
I suppose,
you know?
Yeah. I mean,
so a lot of them are like, you know, you see it on Facebook. If you were born in the 70s and the 80s, you have the best life ever.
Do you know what, though? I guess, now that you say that, like, you know, I remember always being out, but then I always remember, because I'm a film buff, and I always remember, like, all the films I used to watch when I was a kid. Well, I didn't watch them while I was on the green playing football. Yeah, and so I must have been home at some point to be to be watching those films and stuff.
I think what we all do, what a lot of people do, and I've got a really good picture memory or a good memory of growing up as a kid. A lot of people do forget about the childhood and growing up. You know, some of us lived on busy main roads and stuff like that. So when you got to the park, it was like, and then all you ever remember is those days when you were in the park. What about the days when you weren't, when it was peeing down and you were indoors? So we do remember the better parts. But like I say, I've got to see these kids growing up. I've seen a lot of the kids out there, and I do think, you know, nothing better when the sun comes out and you see all the young kids out playing on the street. There's a couple of girls over the road from us, and they're chalking all the pavements again. I'm like, how good is that?
No, I get that.
But yeah, and there is the other side where you're right, where there's quite a lot of kids that know. So where we lived in Audenshaw, the Delamere Park, what a place that was. That was like every footballer, every imaginable. There was United players, City players, the academies. So the level was brilliant. Yeah. And we'd all play on there. And it was full. The park was full. And then I remember after when COVID lifted, I said to the girls, I went, right, I'll take one of you into town this side, and we'll go into town and we'll have a wander around town. Glorious day. It was red hot. Driving down National Road, and I said to Erin, my daughter, I went, right, we'll nip in where I used to live to the park. And we drove past the park.
Gone.
No one in it.
No one in it.
It was scorching. There wasn't even a dog walker in it. And the football pitches were there. The grass was going. I was like, what? So we parked up. We walked in and like, we did this. We went round here. This is where we burned that down. And this is where we got, vandalised this and we vandalised that. That's where I got my first kiss. I don't know where he is anymore, but and we were looking around and I was absolutely gobsmacked, like what you were saying there. And I'm thinking, why is this? What's happened here? So then we goes into town, we do whatever. And then the following week, I said to my other daughter, Ada, I said, come on, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to town. What do you want to do? Down National Road. I went, right, we're going to go in. And I said, I want to see this again. Scorching red hot day. Goes into the park. Not one person in the park. And that was kind of like, wow, what's happened here? You're allowed out on the streets. There wasn't one person in that park at that moment. And it was afternoon, Saturday afternoon. That would have been heaving. Yeah. Even with families pushing young kids on the swings and stuff, there was nothing. Not one person. We were the only two people walking through this park. There was no one playing bowls. That was the best place to get a chase. When you're like, oh, the fucking bowling bastards. And they would chase you through the park. There was none of it. And I think, you're right. There are times when that's it. But then, so I was talking to a few people. Do you remember growing up? So when we were growing up, like it would have been around when we lived down there, 83. So I was about 7 or 8, and the ZX Spectrum was just coming out.
Right. Yeah.
You had to download a game on the tape. You put it on, and you did that, and then all the lines would come up on the screen, and then 20 minutes later, you go failed. Yeah. You look at it devastated, and then you put it on again. I think it was Horace. Horace goes skiing or something stupid, the game. And then again, you do it again, right, I've had enough. I'm going out. And then you go out, and then as the games progressed, I remember football, it was like a really early version of Football Manager, and you'd put your names in, your mates' names, and you'd type it in, and then you would run that team, and then it would come up like a video print kind of thing where you go, right, and then Hodgson scored, and you were like, oh, you go mad. And then I said to a couple of people, I said, yeah, but these kids these days, they've said the quality of games that they've got, bear in mind what we were doing, and we'd spend a couple of hours playing that game. Now, if we had have had the graphics and everything else that those kids have got today, if we had them in our day, do you reckon you would have stayed in them more?
Probably.
And everyone said, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I would have played FIFA. Yeah. Oh, I would have been on that for hours. The quality of that game is unreal. I mean, I've not played it for years, but you watch it, and then it's like all the other games, and then it's like, say, with the TV and everything else that the kids have got these days. I mean, like football, there we're going back to football, Sky. You could watch at least 15 games a week, because it's there. And I think that, there's too much of that has probably taken away, going out.
I mean, we had 4 channels to pick from.
Yeah.
I remember when Channel 5 launched, we had 4 channels to pick from. And then I remember getting Sky, and all of a sudden we had like 50 channels to pick from. And now there's like, how many?
No, I don't know.
You've got, I reckon you could easily choose from 1,000 channels.
You probably could.
Do you know what I mean?
They're there, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people blame it, but then what you also got to say is the kids are not going out, but then what are the parents doing then?
Yeah.
Are the parents not telling them to get out? Because our parents said, you eating and hanging around here, and if you did hang around here, you're cleaning that and you're doing this.
I mean, I'm really lucky. So where I live, we've got a street. We live like in an avenue, and we've got people that live near us, our neighbours. Like, we're going on holiday with our neighbours. All our kids play out. So in the summer, like on a Friday, like my kids will finish school on a Friday and it'd be like, right, are we playing out having Chinese? And we all sit outside. We all order food. We all sit outside. And every weekend in the summer, that's what it's like. Saturday, Sundays, everyone's out on the front playing. And it's quite unique, our situation, whereby we've got that. I have poker nights with the lads just on the street. We go out drinking. We'll go to somewhere and play pool and play darts and stuff like that. Play shuffleboard. Shuffleboard's brilliant.
Any houses for sale on there,
And they, honestly, it is brilliant.
Well, that's the way it should be, innit?
Yeah.
Community.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times you walk down the street and I've done it myself. I've seen a neighbour and gone, didn't even know they lived on there.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Because you come in, you park up, you jump in your house, and then no, that sounds brilliant.
I mean, just as a quick example, right? So I don't know whether I think you might have known, but my dad passed away
Yes,
February.
yeah.
And my next door neighbour is called Andy. And yesterday, so I saw him yesterday tea time. I got home, had to grab my kids' cub stuff and straight back out. So I saw him, waved at him, went in. But then a couple of days earlier, I saw him as well. But I was in the middle of doing something, waved his hand. He'd just come back. I gave him his keys because they were away for a few days. So I gave him his keys, said, "Hi, pal, you okay?" And nipped back in. Yesterday, he sent me a message saying, "Hi, pal, everything all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" So I sent him a message back saying, "Yeah, all good. What's up?" And he was like, "No," he said, "I've just seen you a couple of times and you've not been your chatty self."
Blank me.
But not being your chatty self, just making sure you're all right.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? To live on a street like that where my neighbour, because he's still just my neighbour at the end of the day, he's a good friend now.
Yeah.
But he's, he started off as just a neighbour. But to know that and just to send that message, knowing that my dad, he didn't know. His dad passed away a few years ago. So, he took me out for a drink and stuff after that was happening. But just to get that message saying, "You're all right, everything okay."
I think
Do you know what I mean? And
No,
having that community is it's priceless for me.
Oh, of course it is. And I do think sometimes, we are all too busy, aren't we? Where we just don't realise that someone might be struggling. Just taking time out to ask them, "Are you all right?" It's like, say, years ago, that would never have been a thing, would it? You would have got a dead arm and that was like, cheer up, something, but you don't really know what's going on underneath. And I think that's brilliant. Yeah. That you can, you've got neighbours like that. And I think it's like, say, it's kind of a bygone era, isn't it? Everyone's a little bit too busy. I think obviously from the Second World War where everyone's stuck together. My dad's from Belfast. We go over there quite a bit, and you've still got that community about.
So I go over to Belfast quite a lot.
They stick together, and I think it's brilliant. Sometimes and then we go to Ballina in Ireland, where Caroline and myself got married because my mum's from there,
right?
And that is just another level. It's just like,
honestly. So we've got friends that live over in Belfast. So we go over quite a lot. My wife's actually just got back from Belfast this weekend. But yeah, we've got friends that are over there, and we take it in turns to go over without the kids because it's great.
Yeah.
So I go over.
Kids can't drink yet.
Yeah, I know. But it's a night out in Belfast is it's another level. Like being able to go in bars and you've got people with actual musical instruments and singing, and everyone is nice to you. Do you know what I mean? I absolutely adore it over there.
It is, and I went over for my 50th. I took my cousin and her husband and a friend and his wife who'd never been before, and and all my cousins were over there, and they were like, "Right, we're meeting you on the Friday night, so we're going to meet over here." So we had a couple of we went for something to eat, and then we met up with my cousins in, like we say, one of the bars.
So you had to, if that's a night out, you've got to have gone to the Dirty Onion then.
That rings a bell. I can't remember where. Great bar. McGee's we went to.
Great bar.
Half the time I just had my head down and just ran in.
Oh yeah.
Rings a bell, that. So anyway, I'll look that up because we probably did. That sounds. You've
100% been in there. If you're over in Belfast, you've 100% been in there.
I'll look that one up, but it does definitely sound familiar. And so we went in there, and my cousins were like, "Wow!" I think there was about 12 of us. 12 of my cousins with us, 6. And then we did that, and then on the Saturday night, my other cousins had arranged for us to go for a meal, and again we job. And then my cousin Lisa just went like, she went, "Wow." She said, "What a great people." Yeah. And I went, "They're not just here for us." She said, generally that's what they are like. Even on the Friday afternoon when we landed, we couldn't go into the hotel room. We're walking down the street and we were going, "Where can we go?" There's 2 old ladies and like 70. There's a bar around the corner. It's open if you want to come in. And I've grown up with that. Yeah. I've grown up with that in Southern and Northern Ireland. And again, that community, and it's just the proud people of, obviously with everything that went on. And they're like, "What?" And then they go, "Oh, I'll take you to such a bar." The taxi driver's going, "No, you don't want to go there. You're coming in." Yeah. Oh, the best one is when you get over in Ballina, you go like, "Well, can you tell us how to get?" "Well, what are you going there for?" "Well, that's where I want to go." "Yeah, but you're here." It's that kind of attitude, and do you want to speak to you? Yeah. So getting back to your street and stuff, and I think we do need to get rid of the ego.
Yeah.
help each other out. Like they say, like, well, you're part of this BNI now, aren't we? That's how we got to know each other. Which is a great format of referrals, putting people's names about, helping each other. Because, I mean, don't forget, years ago, there was a time, weren't there, when I remember, you know, in the kitchen game, it'd be like, don't tell me where you got those kitchen doors from. Don't tell them where your discounts are. Don't tell me where you get your worktops from. That's our secret.
Yeah.
Now it's like, when you're dealing and talking to people, it's like,
You want people to know now.
you want them to know.
Yeah, of course you do.
Because you're helping each other out.
Yeah.
And the more you help each other out, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's selfish bastards out there, jealous people who don't want you to do well. I know quite a lot of them. And, you know, I don't get it, because we're here to help each other out.
Yeah.
Business doesn't thrive. Communities don't thrive. Personalities, characters, friendships don't thrive unless you're helping each other out.
Yeah. No,
Don't get me wrong, there's, you know, we are busy.
Mm.
And I get that. And there's times when I've gone like, I forgot to ring him back, or I forgot to ring him, or whatever. But you've got to help each other out, because I think if we don't help each other out in business or in anything else, then it's just going to fall down, isn't it? Nothing thrives if we don't help.
No point then, is there?
No, there isn't, because there's nothing better than seeing someone survive, like succeeding.
Yeah.
You know, rather than going, oh, look at him there, he's got a nice car, or look at that house he's just bought, or look, he's got on another holiday.
It's right, because, you know, when I was at KFC, there was nothing better than me training, you know, people that were coming in. You know, one of my proudest achievements in terms of when I was working at KFC was I took a team member on, and when I left, they were a general manager, so they had their own KFC store. And since then, I'm now fully aware that they're a regional manager in KFC. And they started as a team member, and I trained them. Yeah. And it was like, to be able to watch him now go from that to being a regional manager, he's just amazing.
Because you've had a part in that.
Because I've had a part
in that beginning, haven't you? It's like anything else. A couple of lads who worked for me, they started on the shop floor making cabinets, and then we trained them up, and now they're kitchen fitters. Yeah. You know, they're going out fitting kitchen. Now they've got another lad who used to work for me, now helping him out, or someone doing that. And I mean, it's great that you can do that. I mean, even when they've come up to me and gone, Joe, you know, they've cracked themselves and basically said, look, I'm thinking of moving on. Yeah. Why are you moving on? Well, I'm going to do this. Is that better than what you're doing? Yeah, good. Do it. Don't let me hold you back. Yeah.
No, that's good.
You know, because everything's about, it's like, say, you've got to push yourself, you've got to progress. It's like anything else, and you get a lot of people basically saying nowadays, you know, kids today, they're going to be running the country. How many people told us that when we were kids? I think we're doing like, look at the business you've got, business I've got. We go to BNI, look at all the people there that have got their own business. We were told years ago we would mount to nothing. Yeah. You know, so I don't fear for anything.
But it's like what you said before, though, right? It's like, same as when you complain, right? If you go to a restaurant and you have bad service, you tell 10 people about it. If you go to a restaurant and you have good service, you tell one person about it. Yeah. It's exactly the same process.
And then they got to get rid of that method of that thing in the red where they love slacking people off.
Exactly. And so it's just the same, right? When people think, you know, this generation aren't, you know, amounting to anything. Well, no, they are. It's just that you only talk about the ones that aren't. Do you know what I mean? And that's amplified now with social media, because anything that's bad is everywhere. Anything that's good, you might see it.
Very few and far between, and you don't hear much of it. But, no, it's true that, and I think they do get a bad press. And like I say, going back to the football team, we went and played football golf on Saturday, and played it a couple of years ago, and they were all getting dropped off with the parents. Now they're all driving. Yeah, you know, to train. I'm like, going, how good is this? And they're on time. Yeah. So I know it was the parents that was, you know what I mean? But it's, and I think, I really do think that they've got something good going for them. And I think in genuine, when you talk to them, you know, I walk the dogs down the street and you see a young kid or whatever, and you always let on to them. How you doing? I'm not bad. How are you, sir? Great. Absolutely brilliant.
It is a minority that ruin it for
I think it's just people who are blindsided. They've just got this stigma in the head that we had it when we were young, didn't we? Look at you, Terrace, you're doing this, you're doing that. And they'd be like, yeah, whatever, granddad. Yeah. You know, and then you'd buddy's window afterwards, you know. Yeah. But
no, I get it.
It's I do think today.
So we've put the world to rights, Joe.
Isn't that I mean, look at it, it's sunny outside.
I know, it's gorgeous.
Hey, it was raining before.
We're stuck here, yeah. I know. Sun's coming out for us. So I think that's probably a good place to end it then.
Yes.
Today.
Yeah, it's been brilliant.
Have you enjoyed it?
I like the idea of it. like I said, I come up with the idea in my head it was last year.
I haven't stole your idea, Joe.
No, I know you haven't. I know you haven't. Well, you might have done. You might have come into the bedroom and just like telepathic and took my idea away. But we were thinking of driving down the road, me and a friend in a van, and then getting someone to sit in the middle and video it and like doing exactly what you do. Because I think it needs to. I know we're not touched on a lot of topics, but there's a lot out there. And as a business owner like yourself, there's a lot of potential out there. But I think at the same time, we've just got to be careful that stuff doesn't get taken away from us. Like I say, rent's going up.
Listen, and that's why I've wanted to do this, and I've wanted to have real conversations with people that are in and around our borough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That, you know,
we're all close to each other.
Yeah, and rather than listening to everything that's on social media and everything that's in the news, you know,
that's one thing I don't do. I will not watch the news. Yeah, it's nothing but bad news.
No, exactly. You know, so I wanted to do this. I wanted to talk about people's wins. You know, we've gone all the way back from you know, you having a watching Alex Ferguson have a shower, you know, all the way up to, you know, coaching football team yourself now, and the business that you've created and that you've built over 25 years. And if there is one person that listens to our podcast and takes one snippet of it and uses it for something, then it's worth me doing it.
Well, I think it is, and I think, like you say, yeah. I mean, you listen to a couple of podcasts. What would you get from this? And the other, like the 3 non-negotiables, high performance. If you ever listen to that one, it's like your 3 non-negotiables. You should come up with a question at the end that you ask everyone.
So I am doing, and what I am doing, but it's difficult to do because they haven't given me the permission to use them yet. So what I'm trying to do is I'm asking local schools, primary schools and high schools. I want them to come to me, ask their children questions that they would want to ask someone that owns a business.
Right. Okay.
So that's going to be hopefully in the next batch of episodes that I do, I'll have that permission. I haven't got the permission from the schools yet. So I've got the questions, but I can't use them yet.
Right.
And so basically, next time you're a guest on my show, hopefully I'll have a question from a school child in Tameside who wants to ask you specifically a question about being a business owner.
Yeah.
So that's going to be hopefully my little go-to. But I don't have that yet. I mean, I was hoping to have it, but
no, I think it is, and I think what we've all hit on, isn't it? I don't think it is doom and gloom, which a lot of people will tell you. You know, they're struggling, and I get that, and I totally understand it. I've seen it, but I do personally believe there's a lot of good out there.
Yeah, of course
there's a lot of business for everyone out there. We just got to help each other out and share it.
Good, 100%.
Share it.
So, if someone wants a kitchen or someone wants a bedroom, where will they find you?
So we're based in Hyde, unique kitchens and bedrooms. You'll see the big beef driving around on the van. But yeah, I mean, get in touch. I just need to get the website up and running again. Yeah. Now that we've moved, we have been busy. So,
but have you got Facebook?
Facebook again. Yeah, I'm not good and stuff. So I need to get someone to sort this out for us.
Get it all sorted. Yeah. And then if it's sorted before we throw this episode out, what we'll do is we'll put in the description all of the links and everything for your website and all that sort of stuff. So it'll all be there for when the episode goes out.
Yeah, definitely. All right. It's like I say, you can come down, you can see your kitchen being built. Bro. There's a showroom. There'll be a showroom there next week, which should be completed, and we will be all up and running like normal. And like I say, we are a good business. Bottom line is you're dealing with me. Yeah. So it starts with me and it finishes with me. And if there's something in between where we could all do something right, we always put it right. You know, and like I say, we've had lasting customers over the years who still recommend us.
Fantastic.
You know? So, yeah.
Well, Joe, thank you very much for coming on.
Brilliant. Cheers for inviting me.
This has been Tameside Bossing It.
Cheers.
Because we are.
Yeah.
Well done, Joe. Thank you very much, mate.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Cheers, pal.
What's up, man?